high speed is right behind the company. Oliver Weist. Oh, he's done it!
Having was there as well. O'Neill and Loud up the way. Rangers look for a goal. It's in there. See if they'll fit him well. Oh yeah! What's the foul? Oh, it's brilliant! Scoots it back. John Lundstrom. 3-0 Rangers. This cross is a good one. That hits Libra.
Hello, welcome back to another episode of We Are the Podcast. One on a more positive note. This will be a match reaction to the Kilmarnock game from Sunday, the 26th of October. A 3-1 win for Rangers. A good all-round performance, I would say, from start to finish on what is the 4th anniversary of the passing of our greatest ever manager, Walter Smith. How you doing, boys? How you feeling?
Good. Can I just take a second just to say thanks to everybody for watching the last video. It's over 700 views, and we've only done about 6, 7, 8 maybe episodes at this point in time, and That's huge for us. Totally appreciate it, and especially we're up to nearly 40 subscribers, which is brilliant. It's just a couple of pals talking about Rangers, so much appreciated everybody who's subscribing and watching.
Smashing. And Stevie, you were in the stadium today watching from the stands with our pal Craig. How was that to see Rangers' first home win since May? A good, what is that, 5 months since the last time we won at Ibrox?
So I've seen something online, 5 months and 19 days or something like that.
Which is absolutely mental when you think of some of the teams that we've played in the league, and we've had some terrible performances. It was good. It was good. Good atmosphere. Decent performance, by no means perfect, but it was good to see a manager who was willing to change the shape and try and get the best out of what he's got, rather than just kind of sticking to the same stuff and expecting something to actually happen. So no, it was good. It was a breath of fresh air.
Smashing. So
it was good. It's good to get a win. Like, for all intents and purposes, we went into this game thinking that it might have been another sticky one. And although it did go to 1 each at one point, I think the second half was far better. And in reality, I mean, the Miovski goal was unlucky because he's kicked it off the Rangers player. That gets kicked off a Killie player, and that goal counts because you can't be offside if it hits an opposition player, you know. Even though technically it wasn't a pass, but you understand, you know what I'm getting at. And then you've got the chopped off goal they're asking one, which was, if it takes 4 minutes to chop a goal off, you probably should be having the goal, to be honest with you. But if it's not that clear. But all intents and purposes, a much better game, much better performance in the second half. I mean, when was the last time we had a good performance in the second half, to be honest?
That is the big question. Obviously, we'll delve a wee bit deeper into it. I've took notes of the major flashpoints. This will be the first kind of reaction we've done where we can actually talk about points of the game, where there's actual things that happened and it not be entirely negative. Obviously, the big thing was 4 changes from Thursday night, seeing the return of Diamande firstly and Danilo into the team. We've not saw either of them for a couple of weeks. Well, Diamande for a couple of weeks, Danilo for a couple of months at this point. Also, Miovski coming back in to start, and Cornelius from Thursday night. Cornelius, I thought, had his best game for us today. I don't know how it looked for the stand, Stevie, but him and Magoma were absolutely fantastic together. I thought Cornelius got the Rangers TV man of the match. I would have edged it for Magoma, but the two of them were fantastic.
Yeah, I would have given it to Magoma myself, because for the last kind of few weeks, the boy's been hung out to dry in terms of his defensive work rate. He seems okay going forward before today, but I thought he was really, really good today. And I don't know whether that's because he hadn't been great over the last few weeks, so anything was going to be an improvement. But I thought he done really well. I thought Rohl changing the system to pretty much, what was it, a 3-5-2 when we were going forward, and then 5 at the back. Tavernier playing more of a kind of centre back role with Cornelius and Suter was quite good. It was good to see Miovski and Danilo. Like, I know Miovski never really, I mean, he got a half and he never really had any chances other than obviously the goal that was disallowed, but I thought his movement was pretty good, watching him just as we were kind of knocking the ball about, he was making runs and stuff like that and dragging defenders. And obviously, it's good to see Danilo get a goal. Hopefully, he can stay fit because there's definitely something there. But no, all in all, I know we'll probably go through it in a wee bit more detail, but I thought we went one up. We'd given a couple of chances away to Kilmarnock, a couple of half chances, nothing major. But when we went one up, you're thinking, right, let's go for it. And then they equalise. And I want to touch on Kevin Clancy, if that's okay, because
Crack on, mate.
as
Aye.
much as he's a terrible referee, I thought he was absolutely shocking today, particularly with Kilmarnock's equaliser,
Yep.
because in the build up to that, Diamandi gets fouled right in front of us. It's a clear as day foul. He doesn't give it. They break. Suter has to make a foul. He gets booked for it, and Clancy couldn't get his card out quickly enough. From that free kick, it goes out for a corner, and from the corner they score. Now it should never. It was never like Diamandi should have had a free kick, so it should never have got that far in the first place. I have to caveat that way. I only seen it for the stands. I haven't seen it back. So to me,
It
it
was
was a foul
definitely
on Diamandi.
It was definitely a foul. RTV done quite a few replays of it, and I know Tom Miller's not exactly the voice of unbiasedness, but he was quite adamant it was a foul. From the replays and stuff like that I've seen, it was most definitely a foul on Dio, and I think that there was maybe a slight advantage to be played for Rangers, which is why I think the ball kind of broke. I think it might have been to Raskin. I can't actually remember clearly enough. But I think the ball broke to one of our players, which might have led to being obviously being played for an advantage, leading on to the resulting kind of events that you've laid out there. Um, there was I can't remember the boy's name that played for Kilmarnock, guy with the dreads. He laid out our players a good 3 or 4 times before the ref carded him late on in the second half. He should have been carded a lot earlier than that, I thought. Um, so I kind of agree with your point there, Stevie, about the ref, that it was one of his more shocking displays, shall we say. But that aside, the only kind of major blip in our game today was the Kilmarnock goal, which came from a corner. Butland doesn't cover himself in glory, comes out to
Nah, it could
punch
have
the
been
ball
better.
away.
Yeah.
The thing that annoys me about it is Butland came out, tried to punch it. If if he'd have come out with an open hand, he might have got a touch to it. But there was 3 or 4 defenders underneath the ball before it goes in the goal. Like none of them try to jump to header it or get in the way of the ball or nothing like that. So for Butland to get all of the flack for it doesn't really sit well with me. I know I'm a massive Butland fan and a massive Butland defender, but I don't think he should be getting all the blame for that. I don't know what you
I
guys
think
think about that.
I think the only reason you can think that the defenders haven't jumped is maybe Butland shouted. I don't know. I don't know.
Aye.
I haven't. Again, I've not seen it back, but it looked to me when the defenders never jumped and Butland does jump, you're thinking he's shouted for them to leave it and he's just completely misjudged it.
Mhm.
Regardless of that, it's a terrible goal to concede. And again, it's another goal I was conceding for a set piece, which we are not the best at defending. Thursday night proved that, and again the day is just an absolute calamity. But even when they equalised, it never ever felt like the heads go down or whatever. And that was a big difference for previous weeks. You know,
Yep.
there was no panicking and just lumping it forward and hoping something happens. We stuck to the game plan that Rohl set out, and we scored right away with Miovski, and it's obviously offside. But I thought half time came at the right time for us, just gave us that wee chance to reset and whatnot. And then we come out second half, we score early doors, and by that point you're thinking, right, let's go on and get a few more, But
Yeah.
um, yeah, it's kind of with the goal they scored. Like I say, you can't really legislate for your keeper coming out and just completely misjudging the ball. Do you know what I mean? These things happen, and I don't want to be too hard on Butland because I've been one of his biggest defenders this season. I'm pretty sure we've all said numerous times on here that he's been our best player this season. So I suppose you've got to allow the odd mistake, and it never really cost us too much because we still won the game.
Aye. One of the things that I want to kind of pick up on, obviously the shape of the team was a big thing. After the game, Danny Rohl came out and said that he doesn't really work with shapes. The team plays how the team should play, which is obviously a stark contrast to the way that they were under the previous head coach, where it was keep the shape above everything else. One of the big things that I kind of noticed um, throughout the first half, especially, obviously because Diamandi got hooked pretty early on in the second half, was that Dio and Raskin did a really good partnership in the middle of one going forward and one staying back at all times. Like they pivoted really well. I know obviously you only saw some of the match, Charlie. Did you pick up on that as well? Did you think that they two were good in the middle together?
Yeah, I thought so. I think actually Rule mentioned something in the post match press conference where, like you're saying, he was saying about he doesn't really work specifically with a tactical style, but he mentioned something about going with I think it was 1-6 and 4-10s. He mentioned, so I reckon the theory is that one of the two between Dio and Raskin would sit back, and
Yep.
then the other would push forward. The I'm guessing would have been Danilo because Miovski started, leave him up top. He drops back, and then we play with the four like advanced players, and that's where
Yep.
he tries to create the space. So he's not looking to do like a specific style of like you're saying, really rigid football. Everybody sticks to their position, but he's looking to kind of overload in that final third. Have a lot of guys moving, making like specific movements around that area to create space in order to create passes, then it creates something. A big criticism I think that we've had for the team in general is when it gets to the final third this season, there's been nothing at
Yep.
all. And a lot of the times, this is where the frustration comes from the fans, is it goes forward to the final third, there's nothing on, so they turn and go back, or they go side, and then that's when you get the frustration. So I think that's been his idea to combat that, has been let's get more playable forward and making moves and try to like create space in order to get some options and create some chances really. And I think it's worked a lot today, considering you look at the fact that we scored the 3 goals, which is, I mean, when was the last time we scored 3 goals?
Well, we
this
had the ball in the
season?
net 5 times a day. We had the ball in the
Exactly.
net
So
5 times a day. Like
you get one that was
that's
the goalkeeper, I get that, but then the one we were asking, it was a really good move, to be honest. It was quite unfortunate that it ended up being offside.
Yep.
But it was a tight offside. It could have quite easily in another day been 4-1, you know. So it's been a good win, and I think it's paid off the tweaks that he's made, to be honest. So you can only really hope that the players are going to take quite a lot of confidence for that, and they kind of build on that. Obviously, with the result at the other side of the country earlier on being a bit of a boost, because ideally probably we would have had them drawn, but with one side losing more points, we've then been able to gain, and we're only 5 points behind at this point.
Yep.
So we've still got a long way to go. We're only fifth in the table, I think now that's taken us up to. But
fifth with 12 points.
At the same time, we're heading in the right direction now, and
Yep.
hopefully the boys can build on that and get some confidence. Because I think the problem is the longer they had gone with poor results, the more it had been impacting the confidence. And with it being quite a young squad, that's going to be more pertinent than it probably would be with some kind of like hardened pros. So, good, and hopefully the boys take some confidence for that as well.
Yep.
Can I give a special mention as well to Mikey Moore? I thought that was Mikey
That was
Moore's best game when he came on.
literally
I
my
was,
next point,
I
literally
thought
on my
he was
little
really
agenda
good.
here.
He comes on, and we were thinking at the time, is he going to play through the middle? And he
He
started
was
off through
everywhere.
the middle. He drifted out right. It was almost like he kind of had a free roll up front, and he caused a good bit of chaos with his running. His running was really good. There was one where he got put through, and he just couldn't control the ball, and the keeper came out and took it.
Yep.
But that was far and away his best game that I've seen for us this year. So hopefully that gives him a wee bit of confidence as well. I think the big thing for today across the whole team was getting a bit of confidence in them, and
Yep.
obviously the big man coming off the bench to score as well will do his confidence a world of good.
Stealing my agenda points here, Stevie boy. Just battering on in there, mate.
That's all right. We just need another 10 goals off him in the next 4 weeks to justify the money we paid for him.
Well, that was what I wanted to kind of bring up. Like, obviously, we've been through what we've been through the past couple of months. We've got all these new players in the door in the summer. This for a lot of the players today was their best game. which says a lot for Danny Rohl. I think he's only been in the door for 6 days. I think Thursday came a wee bit too soon for the players. And then now I think that we're actually starting to see what we've all thought all along, is that there is actually some talent in there somewhere. Magoma was terrific. Cornelius was terrific. Mikey Moore, when he came on, was brilliant. Chermiti, I've done nothing but slate the guy since we started this podcast, man, and he had me eating humble pie today, man. More of that, big man. I'm all for that.
That was a good strike as well. Like, I know the
Aye.
goalie's fluffed it and palmed it, and he's been like prawn cracker wrists, right? But the actual strike, he took the strike really well, and there was good
Yep.
technique behind the shot itself. It was an awkward one. The goalie needs to do better. I'm not going to pretend the boy's a world beater because he's had a good strike, but it was still the actual technique and the shot itself was a good shot. So
Yep.
you can give him some praise for that.
He also done some pretty good hold up play as well prior to the goal. Like he kind of worked the build up for the goal as well. But I think today as well kind of shows that we still have a player in Nico Raskin. I know he's kind of a wee bit off the boil recently as well, but I think there's still scope for Nico to go on and become the player that we all think he is, if he can just keep a persistent kind of level of output like he done today.
I think him and Dio work really well together.
Yeah,
They bounce off each other, which is really good. And even before we started this, I've said plenty of times, Dio's a player. Like he shows
I like
up in
Dio.
the kind of,
Yeah.
and I see him getting slated constantly on Twitter, and I'm like, this guy's brilliant. He's brilliant. He just maybe doesn't show it enough, but like last year at Parkhead, him and Raskin just controlled that midfield. You know, they were outstanding together, and I thought the two of them today worked really, really well, and it gave Asgard a wee bit of freedom. He kind of just roam, you know, from left to right in the middle. Not probably wasn't his best game, but he looked a lot more assured on the ball today. And I think a lot of that was down to no having to come back and try and help out Raskin and Dio. So I think there's a lot to be positive about. I'm trying not to get too carried away because we've got Hibs on
I
Wednesday
love it.
night in Easter Roads.
I love it.
I know,
I
and it's
love
one
it.
game as well, and it's like it's one game, so you don't really. And we've been, if you look at the sample size we've had far more worse performances than we've had good performances. You take the one good performance, but again, like you're saying, Stevie, is because you've seen more bad than you've seen good this season, so you're kind of more inclined to believe that this is a one-off rather than it being turned in a corner. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think the big thing for me is it now seems like we've got a manager. I refuse to call him a head coach. I hate that term. He's a manager, who isn't afraid to change the shape and do what he thinks is going to win that game instead of just staying rigid. You know, and that to me is so refreshing because we haven't really had that. I mean, like
Aye.
Ferguson done it a couple of times last season, like Fenerbahce away, Celtic at Parkhead, but before that, Clement was very rigid in what he done. Beale, nobody knew what he was trying to do. Gio was quite kind of rigid in his take aside when he came in for Gerrard. That kind of half season when he got us to the Europa League final, he would change things. But when he kind of had his first kind of up until he got sacked, he was very rigid in what he done. So it's just so refreshing to see somebody who'll go, do you know what, I'll either go 4 at the back, I'll go 3 at the back, or 5 at the back, and just kind of mix things up, you know. So hopefully that continues and it bears a wee bit of fruit for us like it did today.
One of the things that just to pick up on that kind of line of conversation there, one of the things that I really liked, even although he was taking off one of the players that I really like, he made a change at half time, which needs to happen more often in my book. If something's not working come the half, change it. And although Miovski did have that offside goal chopped off, and he was coming back deep to pick the ball up and carry it forward and stuff like that, he never really done much else. And obviously, I'm a big backer of Miovski. Like I've wanted Miovski at the club for a long time, but if it's not working on the day, change it. And it's really refreshing to see a coach that actually does that. That being said, Miovski's strike partner, the Danilo, again, another player that I have long had an affinity for, even although he has been pretty terrible. I thought that he was brilliant today. Like he ran the channels, pulled defenders, got that glancing header in off the post from a corner, which was absolutely fantastic. It's nice to see him get a goal. I'm just hoping he can kick on now, and it's not just another case of he goes back to training and gets injured, and then we don't see him for another couple of months.
I think that's Danilo's biggest issue. He's just like, there's a player there. There's definitely a player there. He just doesn't get a run of games. You could see it even in the pre-season when he signed for us. His touch, his movement, and that you're like, there's definitely a player there. And then obviously he gets injured. He gets a really bad knee injury, and things kind of stall for him. But he's came in and he's not really. He hasn't really put a foot wrong when he has played. You know, I know he kind of started early games under Martin at the start of the season, and he never really done much. But he wasn't. It's not like he was having terrible games. He just wasn't getting the service, and I think he's definitely a good finisher. I'm sure we've heard Neil McCann and Billy Dodds on BBC saying that in training he was probably one of the best finishers that we've got in terms of the type of goals he'll score. He'll score headers. He'll blast them. He'll place them, and that kind of thing. So if he can get a run of games, I don't have any worries about Danilo.
So we go to, as you guys mentioned, Delhi at Easter Road on Wednesday night, a 7:45 kickoff. What do you expect for that game, Cheech? Do you think another kind of multiple formation game plan again, or do we think we go back to our four at the back and two central defensive midfielders, try and keep them out?
I think he'll do the same. I think, although he does, I know that the manager's just said he doesn't stick to a rigid kind of setup. I think he'll still go with a double pivot, but I think this time, instead of one going and one staying, I think he'll probably ask them both to stay just to shore up a wee bit. Hibs are the type of team this season that I think they've only had something like 2 wins this season. I don't know how they did this weekend. I've not even
3.
checked, to be honest.
They're on 3.
So
They beat Aberdeen 2-1 today.
Yep.
right, there you go. I've not even checked. So I mean, everybody's beat Aberdeen this season, to be honest with you. So, but I think that they prefer attacking. They tried it against us. We beat them 2-0, obviously in the cup game. So I reckon that he'll probably stay one back. With them being at home, they'll probably still fancy themselves a wee bit. But I reckon he'll still go with a kind of similar setup in the beginning, and I think he'll then go, and we can then push to see how the game's going. If we're getting a bit more space, or if they're pushing a wee bit forward, do we send another guy forward for the counter attack? I think for I think all we can expect really is hopefully another 3 points and just building on today's performance. To be honest with you, and then just trying to kind of keep. As they said when he first came in, you want to win games in a row, and that's where we need to be looking at now. Is just let's try and win games in a row. You get these 2 wins, then the whole outlook's probably changed going into the Roma and Celtic games, especially considering their recent results as well. I mean, Roma's recent results haven't been great. They got beat off Pilsen in the Europa League midweek there. So, I mean, I know we did look at this batch of games and go, some tough games in there. Then we've won one of them. We won another one on Wednesday.
Jumped, aye.
Yep, we won another one on Wednesday. We've got another 2 teams. Don't know how their results will go midweek, but they could be in a worse position than we are. So I think we just take this, enjoy it, look to build on it for the Wednesday night game, and hopefully we can get another positive podcast after that.
Do you reckon that he starts Chermiti on Wednesday?
It wouldn't surprise me given that he scored today. I mean, I still prefer Miofsky over Chermiti, but it wouldn't surprise me if he did start him. I think he's
Maybe try Danilo and Chermiti together, see if there's something there.
Yeah, could do. I mean, Danilo always seems to play better when there's 2 up there. You remember
Him and Egaman.
him and Egaman at
Those
Motherwell last season.
2-3 games together. Oh,
Yeah,
stuff a dream, man.
It probably depends on what confidence Chermiti's taking for scoring the day, to be honest.
Did you see Celebration?
No, I didn't even.
One of them.
The view or the stream that I had for the game just wasn't the best, and it kept kind of breaking up and stuff like that. So I kind of missed quite a lot of it. But I did see, look, the goal was a good goal. If the boy takes confidence for it, and if he really becomes really motivated and gets a bit of fire in his belly to prove everybody wrong, all the doubters. Because, look, I know the players always say this, they're no aware of what's getting said outside and all that, but they know what people are saying about them.
Of
Oh,
course
aye.
they're aware. Of course
They
they're
know
aware.
what's
They know
happening.
exactly what's getting
So he
said
knows
about
what's
them.
been getting said. So if it lights a fire under the boy and he continues on a good run, then I'm happy to be wrong. Like I'm sure you guys are the
It's
same. We're all
it's like
happy
I
to be
said on
wrong about the
Thursday.
guy.
He didn't ask to get bought for £8 million.
No, it's not his fault.
It's not his fault that we stupidly spent that amount of money on him. The only thing he can do
Well did,
is
but
the only thing he can do is prove us wrong. And if it comes to Rangers scoring goals and winning, I'm happy to be proved wrong. Happy.
like Ali said, I'm happy for him to go and score 200 goals for us now, and I'm
Aye.
selling for a profit. I'm quite happy to do that.
Yep.
I
Well,
think the big thing for me, sorry, just
no,
before we
carry on,
finish
carry
up,
on.
I think the big thing for me is getting 3 points on Wednesday, even if it's scraping a 1-0, because you want their confidence to be high
Yep.
for
It's
going into the
momentum.
Celtic
It's
game.
momentum.
You don't want to go to Easter Road and lose 3-0 or whatever, and confidence is on the floor before you play Celtic, because based on the day, Celtic are there for the taking. They're absolutely there for the taking on Sunday.
I mean, if we do get the 3 points on Wednesday, that could potentially take us up to third place. Potentially, depending on how other results go, because we're only 3 points off it. Like, not even 3 points, 2 points off it. Hibs are only on
Yeah.
14 and we're on 12.
And then,
Like-
and then when you get there, then you start to concentrate on Celtic
what's
and
up?
Hearts. And I know the
Exactly.
gap is pretty big, but if you can
They
at
were
least put
they
a
were
wee bit of
brilliant
pressure
today.
on
Hearts.
them,
I
Hearts
watched
were
that Hearts.
outstanding.
I watched
They'll
that
have a
Hearts.
wobble. They'll have a wobble. Everybody does.
You're confident of this, mate.
They will
You're
have a wobble, mate. They
refusing.
will, because no, but do you know why? Because everybody done this with Aberdeen last season when they'd gone the first 11 games or something without losing, and then look where they ended up. They only get into Europe because they won the Scottish Cup. They were terrible.
We
And they're still
can't
terrible.
possibly
That spilled over into this season. They're still a bad team. They're still a
can
really
it
bad
possibly
team.
have a Leicester 2018 on our hands,
I did
2016,
think
whatever
that.
it was.
To be honest with you, I thought that today when I seen the score. I thought this could be one of those ones when it's a Leicester left field totally. It's been a total freak season where the other teams, same thing with Leicester, are a total basket case. That happened that season as well. Chelsea, Man City all crumbling, Arsenal crumbling as well. Like it could be one of those where the stars just align for them, but they will have a wobble. Every team does. And Aberdeen did
I
last
think
season.
the big difference between Aberdeen last season and Hearts this season is
They beat both us
when
and Celtic.
they beat both
That's-
us in Celtic, and when I know Aberdeen played Celtic at Parkhead the first time last season, they were 2-0 down and they came back and drew 2 each, but they never played the way Hearts are playing. I watched Hearts at Kilmarnock last Saturday and they were outstanding, and Kilmarnock's not an easy place to go to, with that pitch. And then again, the day, I mean, I know Celtic had injuries and all the rest of it, but you can only beat the team that's put in front of you, and they were cutting Celtic open at will at times, so it's. I think they'll strengthen in January. I think if they are still in this position come January, then I think you kind of have to take proper notice, and I think Cheech will be kind of going, aye, that fall away is maybe not going to happen, mate. It's maybe
Listen,
no,
I
but
could be wrong, but I just think, and I'm not saying that they'll fall away and they might not pick back up again, but every team will have a wobble. We've had ours at the start of the season, which unfortunately means that we don't have the wiggle room to then have another spate of bad results later in the season, and that's just how it goes if you want to be trying to win a league. But they'll have a period of time where they'll maybe have some injuries, or they'll maybe the chances only coming off, or the keeper that against any other teams having a world day. They'll have a few games. It's about how that team handles that going forward.
yeah. And I think with us, league-wise anyway, we need to be near perfect.
Yeah.
We can't afford to be dropping many points, can't afford to be drawing games. We need to go on a 10-15 game unbeaten run, and I see was it one of you boys put in our chat today that a Celtic fan on Twitter had posted they've now lost more games
We've
this season
scored
than we have in the league, and
more
we've
goals
scored
and
more
lost
goals.
less games. That
Which
goes
is
to show you
baffling to me. It's
we've been a
baffling.
basket case, and I think. No, I'm not saying that people have not thought that they've been worse or just as bad as we have been, right? But I think that's gone slightly under the radar because of how bad we started the season. How
And
bad
I
they've
think
been.
that's the frustrating thing for us, because if we had our house in order, we probably would be, there or thereabouts with Hearts just now, rather than, kind of chasing
I
Hibs,
think
Hearts and Celtic.
this is the result of leaving Russell Martin in situ for longer
Too
than he
long.
should have been.
Yeah.
Had he been bulleted when he should have been, we might have been able to claw something back. We might have clawed back a wee bit earlier. But that being said, things look to have turned a little bit of a corner today. That was a good performance and a good win,
I
which is
think
what
what
they
you can
needed.
look at. I think what you can look at as well, right, is we're about to come by the first batch of fixtures. So the way I normally look at the fixtures is you play every team 4 times and out with the split at the end. We're just
Yep.
about to come back up to playing Dundee, to playing Livingston again. So if we can keep this, if we can get over these tough games with some positive results and picking up some points in these tough games in the next couple of weeks, well, then moving into games that should be, without sounding disrespectful, right, easier games. You've got your Dundee, you've got your Livingston and stuff like that again. So we're going back to games where we should have started the season really well, but we're getting that chance to add that into the momentum that we've got now. So
Yep.
you can only hope that we get over the tough run of games that are coming up in the next couple of weeks, and then we move into like playing the slightly, for want of a better term, easier games, moving into like your Dundees and your Livingstons and stuff like that, and then looking at trying to get build it and get some consecutive wins from there.
Sure. One question I wanted to ask the both of you after this game today. Obviously, after Thursday, we were much maligned in the defence. The defence is the issue and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, today, the defence didn't really have much in the way to do, but that's not going to be the case throughout the rest of the season. Do we still need defenders in January?
Yes. Yeah.
Above and beyond everything else?
Absolutely.
We played a
No-
team
no
today
doubt
that never
about that.
attacked us that much.
That's
So
fair.
you play against teams like Hibs are going to try and attack. They're at home. They're going to fancy it. They like to try and attack. You're going to play. I mean, Celtic. You really don't know how that game's going to go because their confidence could be just about where ours is. To be honest, going into Wednesday, I mean, maybe even slightly behind where ours is because they've just had a beating. And then you look at Roma and they'll fancy it as well. I know they're coming away from home and stuff like that, but they'll still fancy it. So it'll be I suppose it's a good yard to look at and go in a good measuring yard to go, well, you're going to get 3 teams now, 3 games where the teams are going to try and score goals. So
Yeah.
how do the defence stand up to that?
That's fair.
I still think though that they've shown enough that some of them are just not up to it anymore. And
Yep.
if we want to be building on this and to become a better team, we're going to have to replace the weak links in the team.
That's fair.
I think as well. Just one final thing. I thought, as much as he's been woeful for much of the time that he's been here, I thought Max Aaron's done
I
all right.
knew you
playing
were
a wee
going to
bit
say
more-
that.
A wee bit more advanced today,
Yep.
so he never really had to do anything defensively. He had a few nice touches. He's got a bit of pace about him as well.
He's a tough boy as well. Like he was like
He is.
barging folk and all that, and like taking
Yeah.
barges.
Aye, he got. I think there was one where he got crunched and the ball went out for a throw in, and you see players stay down with it. He got straight back up and carried
Yep.
on with the game. He put a couple of balls into the box. He cut inside and tried to have a shot that was blocked as well. So
I think it comes down to
hopefully
that. A lot
this-
of these players have got points to prove because they'll, as you guys said, they can say all they want that they don't hear the outside noise. But I'm willing to bet a month's salary that they all go home after a game and Twitter search their own name just to see what people are saying about them.
What about their
But-
anxiety though?
And their mentalities and that. Aye, that's a thing. A good display as well. Just to round off the discussion,
Aye.
is it Armed
class.
Forces Day or no, it's the poppy and all that kind of stuff. I'm
Aye,
forgetting
it's
what they're all-
Remembrance.
Remembrance, that's the one.
Remembrance,
Remembrance
yeah.
one. That's ironic that I forgot what that was. The main stand looked amazing with the big display, and then
Display,
obviously
Oh, the Sandy Jordan.
the Sandy
yeah.
Jardin looked amazing with a big display. That'll be on the thumbnail. I think that's a belter of a picture.
Yeah, I was thinking to use that actually.
That and I can't help it. I need to put Danilo on it. I think if I can get a good picture of him. But any last thoughts, boys, before we go on?
No, onwards to
No.
Wednesday. We'll have a preview for Wednesday, no doubt. So
Aye,
that'll be getting
Onwards and
done
upwards, boys.
That's
Tuesday,
it.
yeah. Let's hope
Tuesday
for
night.
another 3 points.
Tuesday night we'll come back with a preview of the Hibs game. I think this is probably the way it's going to go now. Now that we've got a manager, there isn't going to be much a need for like one-off random podcasts kind of thing. Now that we've got Danny Rohl in place, so we'll most likely just go week to week, game to game. If anything needs discussion, then we'll come back and we'll drop one every now and again. And I think maybe in the future we might kind of, when we start to kind of build a wee bit of a base, we might try and start doing some live ones where we can get viewer input and stuff like that. But for the time being, I think these recorded ones work really well for us, and that's the way that we're going to continue doing it. Just to echo what Cheech said at the beginning there, a massive thanks to everybody who has shared us, followed along, liked us, commented. I never thought we would get comments on our YouTube videos, especially kind of positive ones that are engaging in conversation, which is always really good. Also helps us so much in getting out there. Share us with your pals if you don't mind, if you think that we're all right to listen to. And we will see you again on Tuesday for the Hibernian preview. Cheery bye.
Cheers, folks.
Cheers.